of averaging 35 points, 10 assists for the month of November.
Thursday night football, guys. NFC East showdown. Washington taking on Dallas. Okay, both teams sitting quite uncomfortably at 5-6. Dallas has lost 3 straight since Zeke got suspended, scoring less than 10 points in each game. And Dak Prescott has been a big part of the problem. He has no touchdowns, 5 interceptions during the skid. Nick Wright, how much pressure do you think is on Dak now to turn things around in Dallas tonight against the Washington Redskins?
I think Dak Prescott goes into tonight's game with the most pressure that's been on him as a professional athlete, even more than the playoff game against Green Bay. Because we know for a fact that they could lose that playoff game and no one's going to kill Dak. They did lose that playoff game. No one killed Dak.
Right.
Now, he was very good in that game, but he had built up such equity throughout the season that even if he had played poorly and they'd lost Aaron Rodgers, he would have been fine. He will not be fine if they play poorly tonight. The Cowboys offense, led by Dak Prescott, as you mentioned, has been held to single digits in 3 consecutive games. The last team to do that was the 2009 Cleveland Browns. The last team to do it in 4 straight games was the 2003 New York Giants. They responded the following year by, well, drafting Phillip Rivers, I guess, technically, but adding Eli Manning. We discussed about how the Giants had the worst quarterback in the division, how Wentz and Dak are up top, Kirk's number 3, then Eli's number 4. The Giants, we now know, are almost assuredly going to draft a quarterback in the top 5. And if Dak plays poorly today, and Kirk Cousins plays well, and Carson Wentz wins the damn league MVP, the discussion's going to start to be, do the Cowboys have the worst quarterback in the NFC East? Fair or unfair, and based on his play the last 3 games, it would be fair. I can't believe we have gotten here since Halloween, but here is where we sit. So, as a guy who has been an enormous Dak Prescott supporter, I say this is the most pressure he's ever been under in his career.
There's real pressure, but Dak has had enough success, and I think that we have enough people in the media and that the Cowboys fans that they'll make enough excuses for Dallas with their injuries, it being either Sean Lee. We'll keep seeing graphics. Oh, how many games did the Cowboys win with Sean Lee? How many games will they win without Sean Lee? And also Dak has the realization there's only 3 more games, and the best player on the Cowboys will be back. So it's not as if he's got to play the rest of his career with this outfit. To me, the pressure is on all the other things around Dak. It's on that offensive line that we continue to say is the best in the NFL. Well, maybe we need to reanalyze that. Because if they don't play the best in the NFL, then subsequently there is pressure on Dak. What about Jason Garrett? You're an Ivy League graduate. You were a quarterback in this league. What about coming up with a game plan after halftime that might be able to help out number 4 who's playing quarterback? Jerry Jones, won't you keep your mouth shut? Because that would help the quarterback who actually has to play in those games that you're not playing in. Des Bryant, you're in a coma. You haven't had a 100-yard game? That's disgusting. You are healthy and haven't had a 100-yard game in over a year. So if all those people, Terrence Williams, your boy in the slide, Jason Witten, I mean, if all these things keep happening,
right.
Yeah, there's pressure on Dak. But if these people don't do their job, if they just showed up and did their job, then Dak would be able to go about being a game manager. And that's not an indictment on him. That's not an indictment on him in year number 2. Like, he should be happy with that. See, he doesn't have a lot of playmakers, so he's got to be able to manage the game. He needs help, just like any other player.
I know he needs help. I get it. And I know the wide receiving core all of a sudden, and you've been on this, I will give you credit on this, you've been on this from basically the first week of the season. I was a late arrival to how bad the Cowboys receiving core actually is. But you're saying it's only three games till you get Zeke back. There is an aspect that we have not discussed about how the Cowboys have performed without Zeke that to me is a bit of an elephant in the room, which is why are we almost assuming that Zeke, who has repeatedly shown irresponsible behavior, he got suspended for one incident with his ex-girlfriend, but there were other incidents with women that I don't know if they were suspendable, but they were certainly unbecoming of an NFL player.
Yes, his judgment was questionable.
His judgment was questionable, if not outright awful. Man, this idea that if Zeke was suspended for drugs, we would be saying, man, he's one more slip-up away from missing a year. For what he was suspended for, he's one more incident away from missing a year. Now, I hope Zeke has learned his lesson. I hope Zeke is a changed man. I hope Zeke, I don't believe Zeke that he didn't do it, but I hope he didn't do it. I hope none of it, it's all nonsense. But we have reason to believe that it's at least on the board that Cowboys in the future will have to play without Ezekiel Elliott. We need to see this young man, who I wanted to give the league MVP to last year, play like an above-average quarterback without a running back. A lot of quarterbacks in this league make things happen with replacement-level running backs.
Yes, Nick, but your expectations of Dak and who he's supposed to be and how he grows as a quarterback, you might be wrong.
I might be wrong.
I mean, his skill set is a very competent, very good skill set for a quarterback. But is he one of your favorite words? What is it?
Elite?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is it?
Force.
Oh, force multiplier.
Right. Is he that right now? We might not know that. Like Russell Wilson at this point, was he that? He had a quality defense, so he was able to be groomed slowly, make the big plays, didn't have to make a bunch of them because their team was so good. He needs to adapt to his team. They do not have the playmakers, okay? So let's not say Dak can't throw the ball, Dak's not a good quarterback. He doesn't have the personnel. That offensive line hadn't been dominant, all right? If he had Zeke in there, the conversation would be totally different.
I think when you say Dak needs help, if we bring it back to tonight's game, if there is an opportunity for him to play against somewhat quality teams, same record, come out of it with a win, it's against a team with a very banged-up offensive line, riddled with injuries. Kirk Cousins 1-5 against the Cowboys in his last 6 games. Like, this could be a really good opportunity for Dak Prescott to regain a little, whatever you want to call it, mojo, confidence, success, anything.
But I'm glad you mentioned Kirk Cousins, Jenna. Kirk Cousins doesn't have some great weapons at wide receiver. Their big offseason acquisition, Terrell Pryor, it looks like he's playing quarterback again with his receiving numbers this year. Their offensive line, Cowboys have aside from Tyron Smith being in and out, have a healthy offensive line that's underperforming. Washington's offensive line has been destroyed by injuries.
I believe Jay Gruden is a better play caller. I believe he's a better offensive coach than they have in Dallas. If Jay Gruden had the personnel that they have in Dallas, oh, they would smash some people. I believe they would lead the league in scoring. And because his creativity in the passing game, he would create openings that he's done for Kirk Cousins. And we know that he develops quarterbacks because look at Kirk Cousins, the way he's progressed. Year 2, 3, 4, 5, and where he is right now, where he's been franchised the last 2 years. Those are the things you worry about with Dak in Dallas, with Scott Linehan. Are they going to help him out? See, because you just think it's on Dak. To me, it's on the people around him to be able to bring out the best in him, and that includes the coaching staff, the organization, and nothing's more important than the wide receivers. Like, I know your boy Colin says, oh, the wide receivers.
They're the icing on the cake, CC.
Okay, well, what kind of cake do they have in Dallas? All right? That no one wants to eat naked cake. All right? You got to put some clothes on her. We're the clothes. Wide receivers. We're the icing.
Gluten-free, probably with flourless, one of those.
You're never
going
to get over Colin calling you icing. That happened a year and a half ago, man.
It is Thursday Night Football.
That's your role model.
It is Washington. It is Dallas. We will discuss
I miss you, Colin.
more. Coming up,
I'm going to send you back to him. No problem. We can arrange that.